Oh my God, guys. Oh my God. This is absolutely insane. I just finished watching AEW All Out and MJF, who we have not seen since the night after Double or Nothing, the Dynamite after Double or Nothing, where he got squashed by Wardlow to end their feud. MJF makes his appearance, finally returns after several months of being gone, and now he's setting his sights on the rubber match, the match that we all been looking towards. MJF going against CM Punk for the third time. Oh my God, guys, this was incredible. I mean, long night, absolutely long night of All Out. And I gotta say, AEW did a great job with the way they booked this, because earlier in the night, the first match was the Casino ladder match, and you know, you had Claudio Castagnoli, you had so many people in this match. I can't even get all the names. I know Dante Martin was in it. You know, even Willa Yuta, he was in it. So you had so many people that was in the match. Nobody knew who the Joker was, and towards the end of the match, because even the Lucha Bros, I think, were they both in the match, or it was just Ray Phoenix and then Andrade and Rush. So that you had all these guys in the match, and there was a point where it looked like one of them was going to win, like Ray Phoenix, and then all of a sudden, you know, the Joker comes out. But before he comes out, you have all these mask guys come out and they just attack everybody in the match and just beat them down. And then the Joker comes out. Everybody's dead because no one knows who it is. He has this weird looking mask on his face. Um, he comes out. The crowd is completely silent. Before he comes out, Stoley Hathaway reveals to be the first guy with the mask, and everybody else that was in the mask were the guys that's been signing under him, that's been a part of, I guess, this fraction or band that he's been coming up with. Uh, W.E. Morris, he was one of the guys who joined. Ethan Page was one of the guys who joined. So all the people that's been under him, even Billy Gunn's sons, Austin Gunn, and I can't think of the other brother's name at the moment, but all those guys came and revealed themselves that they were under the mask. And then the Joker comes out. Stoley Hathaway gives him the little circle thing that they grab for. I can't even pronounce it. That he grabs for the battle royal for the ladder match, and like everyone, and then he looks as though he's gonna take the mask off and reveal who he is, but he doesn't. And at the time, I was like, "Who is this guy?" Like, I wasn't even thinking that it was MJF. It wasn't even in my mind, even though a lot of people did speculate that the person that was in the mask would probably the Joker would likely be maybe MJF or somebody we hadn't seen in some time. MJF was definitely one of the biggest speculations, but the way they booked this was excellent, because he acted like he was going to take the mask off and he didn't. And then later on in the show, you find out why he didn't take the mask off and reveal himself right away. So he wins the match again. The crowd's silent. I even was shocked. I did not know who it was, because he didn't even have like he didn't have anything that would have indicated to me that that was him, because he didn't have the cover on his neck like he normally does. The little scarf around his neck. He didn't have any of that. So I would have never guessed it was him. Fast forward to the main event, CM Punk goes against Moxley, and I think most of us, you figure the way Dynamite went this past Wednesday, there was no way that CM Punk was going to lose in his hometown with the fiery promo that happened on Dynamite. So, the match actually starts off. CM Punk hits Moxley with a GTS pretty early in the match. Moxley kicks out of the first GTS. Pretty back and forth here. Moxley really, when he got that chance, he really went against the leg. CM Punk actually dominated the first part of the match. And Moxley, once he started taking over, he was sinking in, mickling in the crowd. The crowd wasn't 100% CM Punk. It was the same way it was on Dynamite. There was 50-50 Some fans chanting Moxley, some fans chanting CM Punk. And to me, I'm thinking when Moxley squashed CM Punk, I thought when he did that 2 weeks ago that it was because CM Punk, they just did it to get the belt off of him because he was still hurt. But then I find out they really just did it, for the shock value, number one, and number two, so that then they could have the rematch here. And that was basically what happened. This match ended up turning out a lot better. I mean, since they had the time. And in the end, CM Punk, once again, although I do feel bad for Moxley that, he had to drop the belt this quick, considering that CM Punk just lost it to him 2 weeks ago just to win it back. So a little bit hot tomato playing. But then when you see why they had CM Punk win it, looking at it in a booking perspective, the way that they booked this, the way that they've been building this thing, it all kind of adds up. So Moxley, loses clean to CM Punk. He did hit CM Punk with the paradigm shift. CM Punk actually kicked out of it this time, unlike Dynamite where he hit him with two paradigm shifts, and he after the second one that was it. This time he actually kicked out. Eddie hit him with those, kicks twice, which the first time, he nailed it, and the second time he missed. He did try to go for the elbow from the top rope, and Moxley countered. Moxley, was really relentless in this. CM Punk did, go after Moxley's arm. So Moxley, like I said, milking in the mixed reactions, putting up his fingers and stuff for the crowd and all that type of stuff. So in the end, CM Punk, hits the GTS again. He actually, at one point, got Moxley an Anaconda device, but Moxley, managed to get to the ropes. Even when he had CM Punk, kept hitting CM Punk to the ropes, he was just really aggressive with it. So, it was really back and forth. But CM Punk, once he hit the second GTS, Moxley was out of it. He took a while to get back up. Then he hit the third GTS, and then he wins. He wins for the AEW title for the second time. The only other person to win the AEW championship for a second time was exceptionally Moxley. So then all of a sudden the lights go out. He's celebrating, the lights go out. They show this weird footage of somebody saying like, I'm paying you. All you have to do is show up to All Out. And then it shows this footage of CM Punk back in his Ring of Honor days. And then it shows the same person that was there previously early in the night, the Joker. The crowd is already suspecting that it must be MJF. And then he says, I'm a snake. And it is MJF. He, takes the mask off, and it actually is. And I have to say, that was the loudest I've heard the crowd react all night. I mean, the crowd, other than the Acclaim match, because the Acclaim has really gotten super over. When they had their match against Swerve in Their Glory, many parts in that match, the crowd was rooting for them, and it did seem like they were going to win the belts, but I knew that they weren't. But it would have been a nice touch if they did, being one of the originals. AEW, they've been there for quite some time, and I don't even remember the last pay-per-view they were actually wrestled together as a team, but nevertheless, excellent match there. That's probably the second, this is probably the loudest the crowd reacted since that match, because that match, it was just completely acclaimed. Like, they didn't even rarely cheer at all for Isaiah and Glory. They were actually booing them in that match, kind of like, and Isaiah is pretty much, Swerve Strickland is pretty much, was kind of acting heelish anyway in the match. So, but regardless, the point I'm making here to connect with the MJF thing is that since that match, this was the loudest I heard the crowd react. And when MJF revealed himself to be the Joker and looked up CM Punk, looked at him directly, and you could see the fire in his eyes, I mean, this was absolutely incredible. For so long, since MJF cut that fiery promo where he complained about, not being paid enough, he complained about Tony, hiring so many ex-WWE guys, and everything that he said in that promo after Double or Nothing was a mixture of both a work and shoot. Because for one, you find out that when he was almost no showed at Double or Nothing, that he made some type of compromise with Tony Khan after that, which allowed him to cut that promo on Dynamite just 3 nights later, and that's exactly what happened. And so we didn't see any of MJF. Like he said, "I want you to fire me" in that promo. He called him a mark. He said a bunch of stuff, fiery things in that promo that, like I said, was a work shoot promo. So again, for so long everybody's been wondering, where's MJF? Where's MJF? And then it turns out that you look back at when he left, you look back at the Warlord thing, you look back at the whole thing with him and Punk, and it all adds up. Oh, this was just a way to get him to come back, but to earn his shot, to do it with no one at least expecting it. I mean, maybe someone did, but me personally, I did not think that was MJF. And it's not even just because he didn't come out with his theme song, because that would have been too obvious, but just the whole way they did it. Like, first of all, what was his association with Stockaway and those other guys that he's been, signing? All those other guys that's been on part of his brand or whatever that he's doing, Ethan Page and all those guys. So I'm thinking maybe it's just somebody else who's joining them, but I never, it didn't even cross my mind that it was MJF. So the fact that they booked it that way for him to come out and do that for this way for him to come back. And now you get to see the grudge match between these guys, because the first match MJF did win back in February on Dynamite, and then the second match, Punk won at Double or Nothing, the dog collar match. So again, this is the third match here, but this time it's for the belt. So it's going to be really interesting if they have MJF lose again, or if they actually have him take the belt. Now, if they do that, the only tricky thing is then it again will be too much hot tomatoing with the main title, because up until Hangman Page, the first two AEW champs actually held the belt for almost a year. Moxley, well, not the first two, but the second and third, because Jericho was the first one. Then he lost to Moxley. Moxley actually held the belt from Revolution 2020 all the way to Winter is Coming 2020. So that was almost a whole year, for about 10 months and about 200 something days or so. And then Kenny Omega, same thing, but he actually had one more month to go and he would have hit a year. So they had pretty long title reigns up until Hangman Page, when he beat, Kenny Omega, and his title reign wasn't as long. It was about the same length as Jericho's. And so that's the only tricky part is, how you're going to book this, as far as, are you going to keep the belt on CM Punk? I'm really curious to how they're going to do this. And a lot of people thought if he didn't show up here, maybe he would show up at Grand Slam. But this was the perfect way to bring him back. And this is really, we're already running on 13 minutes of this video. I can't even talk about the rest of the card. I did briefly mention the Acclaim because it was such a large card. The only things I'm going to point out aside from this is that, one, I should have expected Luchasaurus Eternal Jungle Boy, just because he still was coming out with it the same attire, still acting heelish, even though he's seemed like he sided with Jungle Boy when Jungle Boy finally came back to try to get retribution from Christian Cage, and he actually helped Christian Cage easily beat him after he destroyed Jungle Boy. That was insane. Like I said, the Claim was probably one of the biggest moments of the night. The loudest the crowd ever reacted for them. Really was kind of, knew that they weren't going to win, but at the same time, you almost hoped they would. Even the trios match was incredible. That the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega won. I actually, it was to a point where I was like, man, really kind of pulling for the Dark Order and Hangman Page, even though I knew they weren't going to win. Once he inadvertently clotheslines, I think it was was it Silver that he clotheslined by accident? Whichever one, and then Kenny went for the pin, and he was irate. Heyman was really upset. So that was pretty a crazy way to end that. But yeah, that's really all I can point out. Just things like that. Uh, Also, distinction possibly between Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter. I figured Toni Storm would win because she's gonna get that match with Thunder Rose when she come back, which was supposed to happen all out. That was a really good match. So yeah, I can't even say much about all the matches. Jade Cargo retained. It really interesting to see who might dethrone her at this point against Athena. So, of course, with interference, of course, but the baddies the only reason. But yeah, I can't even say anything about the rest of the card other than just those little snippets because it was just such a long card. Even just doing a review about it would be pretty hard for me, to be honest with you guys. But I just really wanted to talk about this MJF thing. I did not see. I They fooled me. They had me fooled. I did not expect this. Um, but I should have known. But again, they did really good with this, and I'm looking forward to it. So MJF is finally back, guys. I'm guessing at this point he must have signed some type of deal to stay longer. Well, actually, his contract is not even up yet, but I'm really thinking after this, I don't see him leaving AEW. Depending on where they go with this. So we'll see what happens, but yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to this. Uh, just a little curious if they're actually going to pull the trigger and have MJF win because I think that would be a little bit too much. Not to say he doesn't, shouldn't win the belt, but it's like, you just kind of had CM Punk win the belt again, and that would be too much hot tomato in. But we'll see what happens. So that's pretty much it, guys. Sign off, Raymaster Flex, and like, comment, subscribe. Talk to you guys another. Peace.